I've got such a good story today on rejection, and I haven't ever really spoke about it, so I'm excited to dive into it. If you're new to my YouTube, I'm Alexa Curtis. I'm a former Disney host and currently the co-founder of a career development platform for women called Grasshopper. We help women reach their professional and financial goals through summits and tons of empowerment content. So back in 2018, I was living in Boston, trying to pursue a nonprofit. Running a nonprofit is literally so hard and you make such little money. So at the same time, I was building up my website, trying to do tons of different TV segments to pay my bills. I didn't go to college. I didn't come from any money or connections. So getting in front of the right people was always an extra jump for me. I really had to push people to let me into meetings with them or open the door for me in certain ways, because if anyone can relate to this, not coming from money and connections makes it a lot harder for you to get those opportunities. But it's not a reason that you shouldn't try and get them. You just have to be aware you're gonna have to try a little bit harder. So I'm living in Boston and I had this podcast called This Is Life Unfiltered. If you've listened to it before, I love that podcast, and the podcast had done really well. I'm living in Boston, I'm working on this podcast, I'm in a relationship, and I was so effing bored. I just remember thinking, like, is this my life? I didn't go to college. I moved from New York, where I was broke, to Boston, where I now have an actually cute apartment. I can afford the rent. That's a little bit expensive, but I'm hustling, I'm doing the TV segments, I'm doing a bunch of blog posts, so like I'm making it happen. But Boston is such a small city, and I just felt like there was an itch I had that I needed to go somewhere else. So I find this list of every single producer person in the world. I have no idea. One day I was just looking up like famous producers or celebrity contacts or agents, I think, and up comes this list that I look back and like, if I had never found this list, I would never have had the trajectory of my career. So it's kind of crazy. So I'm scrolling through this list and I'm like, wow, this is everyone in media that I need to be in front of. And I write a blanket email to a bunch of people saying like, my name is Alexa Curtis. I have a successful podcast. At the time, I had started this movement called Fearless Fridays, where every single Friday I would do something really fearless. And I BCC everyone in this email, which looking back, terrible idea. But at the time, I'm like, screw it. No one's going to hear back from me. No one's going to reply anyway. So I send out the email. I BCC everyone. And about a week or so later, I get a response from someone at Disney saying, I am the head guy at Radio Disney at the time's assistant. He got your email and is interested in what you do. If you live in LA, let's set a meeting. I remember getting this email and just looking at it for a second, because all of a sudden I just had this gut feeling like my life is gonna change and I don't know why. I work so fast. I get my apartment subletted, I pack up all of my stuff, I like break up with my boyfriend, and I'm on my way to LA. So over the course of the next 4 months, I start having meetings with Disney, and they're incredible. I ended up getting a manager who saw me on a TV show. I'm going into Burbank offices at Disney, the headquarters, meeting with the whole team. It's this very surreal and intimidating experience because I am not an actor. I literally had started a podcast. I had a successful blog, but I had no experience working with corporate people. I had no experience even knowing what they wanted. So I was definitely scared a lot of the time because I didn't know if I was saying the right things. But I think in March of 2019, they said yes to the show. And so it's the best day of my life. I remember for some reason I was at a restaurant in Manchester, Connecticut with my friend. And I got the email, and I got an email about what the show was and who they wanted the guests to be and the day we would go into production, which would be in August. And it was just insane. It was surreal. So within a few weeks, I'm on the way back to LA and then on my way to Arizona for a conference. I get to Arizona. I'm having the time of my life. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 10 years. I finally just got a yes. Mom, I got a Disney show. This is crazy. I'm living in LA. And then I get an email from my manager being like, WTF have you done? So I get an email forwarded from Disney that's basically an email saying like, unfortunately, we've decided not to pursue this show. Tell Alexa thanks for her interest. I'm at this hotel, obviously like on top of the world. And within seconds, I've broken down. I'm crying. I'm literally freaking out. I have no idea what's going on. I'm calling my manager. She doesn't know what's going on. I'm calling Disney, like all of these things. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So within the next 48 hours, I'm a total basket case at this conference in Arizona. And I get an email being like, I had videos on my YouTube that were sex ed for teens. They were super PG. They were very much videos about helping young women understand their bodies, like benefits of birth control, nothing explicit, nothing demeaning, nothing sexual, nothing of me. But of course, to the Disney brand, this was a total no-no. Now, throughout the course of the 6 or 8 months of going through this show and negotiating with them and everything, no one's addressed these videos. And I have no experience with corporate. So I'm thinking this is a legal team at Disney. They are so specific. They've gone through every Instagram post. They've gone through every single LinkedIn post. They know everything about me. So I was never asked to remove anything. So they, within a heartbeat, were like, the show is over. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, let me just delete the videos. And it's just no. It doesn't matter. Like, the door's closed. Sorry, move on. For 6 months, from that March, I think it was March 18th to, I want to say June 5th, I am a basket case. I'm depressed. I'm like borderline suicidal. I fly to Turkey to see my family there and try and get away from it all. I can't sleep. My manager was like, look, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to do the best that I can to get in touch with them, but the door may just be closed here. There's nothing we can do. And it's super frustrating, especially as a young entrepreneur and a young woman, to know you had put something out there to really help people. It's getting viewed in this way, and there's nothing that you can do to help this or remedy this situation because it's only things I didn't know. So over those months, I'm just not well. I'm really depressed. I'm really frustrated. I'm having a really hard time. We aren't able to get in touch with anyone at Disney, like totally dead silent. I remember being in Turkey for weeks and waking up at like 3, 4, 5 a.m. because it was, late night LA time, texting my manager, did you hear from them? Emailing her, seeing if she had emailed them, if she talked to them. And she said she called and texted and emailed every single day and didn't hear back. Just didn't hear back. And so, of course, I'm thinking, wow, I really screwed this one up. I'm so angry. There's nothing I can do to fix this. That was my one big break, and I screwed it up because I made videos I thought would help people, and they've backfired on me. I booked a ticket back to LA in June. And I'm getting back to LA like, wow, do I move back to Boston? Like, do I get back with my ex-boyfriend? I mean, what happens now? A part of me, I remember thinking, screw them, I don't need them, they don't need me. But the other part of me, most of me, was like, wow, like that was a huge opportunity and I'm the one that damaged it because no one told me. I'm sitting in an Uber on a way to a meeting with a guy who thought I got the Disney show and was interested in some capacity, like representing me or working with me. And I just remember it was going to Soho House, West Hollywood. And I remember being like, what am I gonna say to this guy? Like, by the way, they said yes and then they rejected me. This sucks. Like, this is super embarrassing. And it's about 8:15 in the morning. I don't even think I can barely afford this Uber. And I look down at my phone and my manager, Eileen, is calling me. And I'm like, oh God, what now? She's gonna tell me they found more videos and now they're suing me. And I'll never forget hearing her on the other side of the phone. She said, oh my fucking God, you got the show. And I just started screaming. I'm like, my Uber driver's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? I'm like, I don't know, am I okay? I'm like, I'm crying, I'm bawling, I'm like, I can't even speak. I'm like, what do you mean I got the show? She's like, you need to calm down or like call me back, but like you're good to go. Go like enjoy your morning and like call me back in a few hours. So I go to this meeting, I finish it, I call her, and essentially the guy at Radio Disney, who's the head guy that ends up saying yes to this show, is like, hey, I'm so sorry. Literally all he says apparently is, I've been really busy. Thanks for deleting the videos. We're good to go. Let's please set a meeting for next week so she can come in and finalize the updated parts of the contract. Oh my gosh. I have never been so anxious and overwhelmed, depressed, borderline suicidal, everything for months to end up getting what I wanted was this show. And the craziest thing is looking back is her incessant following up, me being really depressed. All of these things were so out of our control that literally this guy, it was just not top of his agenda as it shouldn't be. I'm really, in a sense, like a nobody and they're taking a huge chance on me. And so why it took him 6 months to reply, I have no idea. But that 6 months taught me so much about business and not relying on other people to say yes to you and also not giving up because I ended up getting the show and there was nothing I look back and would have done differently, especially with those videos because again, they weren't raunchy or explicit. They were simply just videos of me trying to help young women, and he was just too busy to reply to the email. So that is my rejection story that ended up being a yes that totally changed my life. And if you're thinking about rejection or something that happened, just remember that I really do think the world has a plan for you, and you can't get caught up in overlooking the journey, because the journey is this whole part. So make sure to follow me on social media. Go to the bio, subscribe right over here somewhere. Videos drop every Tuesday and Thursday about rejection, building a brand, being your own boss, and I'll see you guys next week for a new video.